It's week 10 of the NFL season. It's the week we found out that being emotionally tortured by the Miami Dolphins isn't something confined to their fan base. My name's Kevin Clark. I'm with Geoff Foster. Geoff, everyone's talking about this bullying situation down in Miami. So if anyone is living under a rock, Richie Incognito, the guard, has been accused of bullying Jonathan Martin, the tackle. Really, for me, it seems like this is the end of locker rooms being different than any other workplace. You can't punch me in the stomach. You can't call me awful things here in the newsroom, even though you'd like to, I'm sure. I think that this is the sort of beginning of an era in which the locker room is governed with the same workplace laws as anybody else. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I can punch you in the stomach whenever I want. Second of all, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think for a long time, we didn't know what went on behind closed doors in the NFL, and it was probably,
we didn't want to know.
It was probably a good thing.
Yeah, we didn't
and
want to
then
know.
we have Hard Knocks, and then we have the Bounty scandal, and yes, they're definitely going to be held to a different standard than they have in the past.
Well, I'm really curious about the legal fallout, because I think that if this gets to a courtroom, we'll really see what's going on. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's get to the football. We're starting to see the contenders sort of pull away, and this week we want to focus on the warts of each contender. When you look at each contender, which team has the most flawed, either defense or offense, something that could prohibit them come January?
I would probably say the Seahawks. I don't think Seattle's really flawed. I don't think they're really tremendous in any one area either. I think they've been winning these games like they barely beat the Rams. They barely beat the Buccaneers. You know, they're definitely like playing with fire. They should have lost to Houston. And I think they sort of like, they can't protect Wilson. And if you can stop the run, you can definitely slow that offense. And I think you can kind of run on them. So like, they have good pass defense, but they definitely are vulnerable because they don't dominate really any one side of the ball.
The Kansas City Chiefs, for me, do so many things well. They manage the game well, they rush the passer, but they have one big weakness. They cannot stop the rush through the middle of the field. A guy like Gio Bernard with the Bengals, he'll be able to exploit that. Dontari Poe is an amazing defensive tackle for them, but I think he's a little too worried about the pass rush. He's a little too worried about knocking the quarterback on his feet, sucking blockers towards him, so the defensive end, maybe a Justin Houston type can get to the quarterback. I think that's a huge problem, and I can just see a team running 30, 40 times down their throat and winning a game in January and knocking them out of their dream season.
Right.
So what about teams that maybe have a flaw that is talked about a lot but can be really glossed over? I mean, some of these things we nitpick so much. What's one flaw that doesn't really matter?
I find it very hard to find a flaw in the Broncos. I think their biggest flaw is that Peyton Manning could get hurt at any moment, if you call that a flaw. I think their defense has put up some pretty bad numbers. You look at their pass defense, I think it's like the second worst in the league or something like that. But it doesn't really matter, because if you want to play a game where we're gonna pass all day, their guy throws 360 yards a game. So they're gonna win that game every time, just because they're executing so much better and at such a higher level than all the other teams they're playing. So it doesn't really even matter how bad their defense is. So as long as Manning's healthy, I think they're gonna be in it until the very end, obviously.
For me, the Detroit Lions, they have some problems on defense, obviously with the ability to stop the pass, but I think their biggest flaw right now is Matthew Stafford is not throwing as many deep balls as he should. And look, when you have Calvin Johnson, who's probably the best deep wide receiver we've seen in the last decade, here's my game plan. Throw it deep every time. Here's every play call. Calvin, go deep. I'm going to throw it to you.
Jump balls to Calvin.
Right, exactly. Every single play. Don't run the ball. Don't even have a running back on the roster. Maybe don't even have offensive linemen.
Right.
There's two guys
and
in the field.
they're getting Bush back,
Yeah,
too.
they're getting Bush back. And so what I would do is just throw it deep. However, Matthew Stafford has thrown more passes within 10 yards than any player in the NFL. That's not good. That's not a good strategy when you have an amazing guy.
Well, those passes to Bush seem to work.
Sometimes, but I would just rather take my chances. Every 3 plays, there's going to be a 70-yard touchdown. So why not, right? So I just think that that flaw, it's a small one. It's a nice one to have, that you're not throwing to your elite wide receiver enough downfield. But I think it could get to them. But look, it's something that's easy to fix. Okay, upset pick of the week. Geoff, go.
First of all, I got 3 in a row now on these little videos, so I have a little bit of a hot streak.
I've got 40
myself.
in a row wrong. So
I'm going with the Panthers.
Yep.
They're getting a lot of points. They're at San Francisco. San Francisco's coming off a bye, obviously, a tough team. But Panthers have been, I know they've been playing some pretty easy teams, but they've been demolishing teams. They've been scoring 30 points a week, I think 4 weeks in a row. I think they've totally taken it to a new level, and I'm loving, this is Cam Newton's big chance to beat a quality opponent, especially on the road. And why not? I take the points.
You want to go against Harbaugh coming off a bye?
No, of course it's going to be tough, but they're definitely going to keep that game close.
Harbaugh just probably crushing Netflix, Foyle's War reruns. That's all he talked about when he was in London, if you missed it. He just loves those detective mysteries. Okay, for me, Philadelphia is going to beat the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, this is sort of an easy one because Seneca Wallace.
You're going out on a limb there, picking the Packers to lose without Aaron Rodgers.
The Packers are favored.
You're going against Seneca Wallace.
I don't like Seneca Wallace as much as the rest of America does. Seneca Wallace, to me, is a question mark. But when you look at how Nick Foles performed last week against Oakland, I think they've got something. I think Chip Kelly's smart enough to, once he has some talent, to game plan around it and figure out a new offense. He's not going to run the Oregon offense he did with with Jeremiah Masoli or whatever. He's going to take a guy like Foles, build an offense around him, and win a game. Put up 30 or 40 points against Packers defense, which, by the way, has struggled getting to the quarterback.
It's fun playing the Raiders.
Could we beat the Raiders, just you and me?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's it. Good luck with Week 10, and watch out for Richie Incognito.